the yogurt shop murders.
Many years ago, this crazy yogurt shop murder thing.
Some things you're about to see and hear might be too graphic.
For the first time, they've named 3 men they want to question in the murders.
Are you a cold-blooded murderer? No, sir, I'm not.
And just when everyone thought the story was over,
a quadruple homicide which took place up in Austin.
I think I f***ed somebody.
New testing revealed DNA from a mystery suspect was found on the youngest victim, Amy Ayers.
And it was like a famous case, and it's completely unsolved.
Investigators now believe the real person responsible was never caught.
Mate, stop believing everything you read. That whole investigation was a circus from day one. And the wildest part, the real killer was hiding in plain sight.
We grew up latchkey kids, no parents at home, no one watching. The yogurt shop was just 1 mile from I-35, a predator's dream. In minutes, they could vanish onto the interstate.
4 men were arrested, 2 retracted their confessions, all of them were eventually released. What was the police department even doing?
Several months later, efforts continued to keep the case alive, despite the lack of clues, despite the lack of suspects.
Like, what were the police even doing? Why did nobody ask questions until now? How can someone get away with something like this?
Look, ladies, it became a circus. Not because of the cops, but because the press wouldn't let it go.
Since then, police say they've talked to some 3,000 people about the crime, but still no solid lead.
I believe that the people that they arrested are the right people, even though they're out, they're not in jail, that we will be blessed with an answer.
There are people out there who know, everyone that was involved, who know exactly what happened.
The 4 girls at the center of this story, all local, all teenagers.
Okay, so deep dive here. Jennifer and Eliza were in high school. Sarah and Amy were still in middle school. They lived just minutes from the shop.
This was a different time, before cell phones, before security cameras on every corner.
Yeah, people forget Austin wasn't the hip, booming city it is now. It was still transitioning.
And maybe that's why.
Some things never got answered.
Back then, there was something in the air.
It's connected to devil worship. That's the focus tonight of Lonnie Lardner's special report on Satan.
I was there back then. Austin had a shadow over it. Folks whispered about strange things, and not all of them were just stories.
Something survived that fire, and it was a bullet belonging to a .22 caliber gun.
So picture this, just days after the murders, police scoop up Maurice Pierce at a mall in North Austin. And guess what he's carrying?
The investigators identified 4 suspects: Maurice Pierce, Forrest Wellborn, Robert Springsteen, and Michael Scott.
He confessed, and he named his friends Springsteen, Scott, and Wellborn. Said they were all in it together. But why? Why would 4 teenagers do something like that? What's the motive here?
Cops said it was a robbery gone bad, but if you read between the lines, their theory had holes big enough to drive a truck through.
Okay, he's got the .22 in his waistband, but that doesn't prove he was in the shop. What's the actual link to the murders?
So they're saying this wasn't random hate or revenge. It was about money. That changes everything. Today, they'd be in their late 40s, living full lives, mothers, teachers, friends. Instead, their story is frozen in 1991.
When I look at the faces on those signs, that's not what I see. I see the girls that I found in that building. And that's a memory that's will stay with me forever.
Yeah, this is Jennifer's room. She too was a tomboy.
When she was young, Jennifer played t-ball just so she could get a uniform. Her room, like Sarah's, is smeared with George Strait posters.
She could go to SP and go dancing. It was like she was in heaven.
Jennifer Harbison was 17. Her younger sister, Sarah, just 15. They were daughters of Barbara Ayers Wilson and Frank Harbison, who had divorced years earlier. The split reshaped the family. Barbara carried the weight of raising 2 teenage girls on her own in Austin.
This is Jennifer's pin from the yogurt store for her uniform. I didn't even know that was here. And the funny thing is, they really just loved those animals in the first and second place because they just loved them.
We got pictures of them just kissing them on the face and nose to nose with these lambs.
They're so funny. Gosh, they're funny.
She would go to a ball game and the girls would play, and then she'd run back into the locker rooms and change into a cheerleading outfit and come out and cheer for the boys' game.
Her last hug haunted her, and she told reporters she regretted not protecting her girls that night.
Barbara moved the girls to Austin for better opportunities, determined to give them stability and a future that stretched beyond small-town limits. She worked, she worried, and she pushed her daughters to be strong and independent.
As far as the case goes, I can't fix it. I can fix everything else, but I can't fix this. And that eats at you.
Why were two teenage girls working a late shift in a yogurt shop on a Friday night? Was it because the family was behind on bills, forced to lean on their daughters to make ends meet?
That's not fair. This wasn't about being broke. It was about being teenagers with jobs. Jennifer and Eliza were working part-time like plenty of kids do.
All right, let's run it back. What actually went down that day, like hour by hour from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. because the timeline. Low-key everything.
Here's everything that happened before the murders.
There was nothing out of the ordinary going on that day. No warnings, no threats, just four friends in a yogurt shop doing what teenage girls do.
But that's not entirely true. One customer remembered a man lingering in the shop's restroom. Some believe that's when the back door was propped open.
They've been together since that afternoon, ending their day at the I Can't Believe It's yogurt shop in North Austin. Jennifer and Eliza's were working the closing shift. Sarah and Amy kept them company.
I don't believe that, Michael. You don't ever know in there. And you know you were in there. Did you shoot any of those girls? No, sir. Then tell us what happened. What are those two boys doing to those girls? Do I live with this the rest of your life? No, I don't. Then get it out right now. They're you over. They're the ones that shot the girls. Do it. What did you see happen?
Closing time approached. Jennifer locked the front doors at 10 p.m. Minutes later, a couple leaving the shop noticed the same two men, still there. By 11:03 p.m., less than an hour later, firefighters were on scene. Inside the smoldering shop, they found all four girls, bound, gagged, shot, and burned.
Smoke coming out from I Can't Believe It's Yogurt. Fire department got here shortly thereafter. What we found in the back there was we found four victims. We're handling it as a homicide right now because it appears that one of the victims was struck in the head.
Were the victims together or were they in different parts of the building?
No, I can't. Can't give you that either.
Were they bound in any way?
Can't give you that.
Was there any sign of forced entry to this building?
Can't give you that.
What can you give?
Just what I gave you. It's still very early in the investigation, okay?
Investigators began to believe the murders started as a robbery gone wrong.
Sure, but most robberies don't end with that kind of violence. Like, wow, if this was about money, that's a brutal overreaction.
If you read about it, if you heard about it, if you were touched by it, if you were affected by it, you became a victim.
Give us the information that will lead to the arrest and conviction of the person that murdered these girls, and we will give you $100,000.
An unlocked back door doesn't just happen. Somebody made that choice. It's just getting stranger and stranger.
Those so-called confessions, they came after hours of interrogation, no lawyers, and detectives feeding details. They said whatever the cops wanted.
Listen, these weren't just random arrests. One of the suspects confessed, and you can hear the tape and decide for yourself.
Mike, look at me. You're remembering what happened because you were inside there, right? I don't. You're remembering what happened. I don't actually mean going in the If you were in the building, you were in there with me. I don't believe that, Michael. You remember me in there. And you know you were in there. Did you shoot any of those girls? No. Then tell us what happened. What are those two boys doing to those girls? Do I live with this the rest of your life? No, I don't. Then get it out right now.
The confessions were controversial, but there was DNA evidence of an unknown male that did not match any of the suspects.
So what does that exactly prove? That they didn't do it or just that someone else was there with them?
So you've got the dude hanging out at North Cross Mall, busted with a .22 pistol, the same caliber used in the yogurt shop murders. How do you just look the other way on that? Yeah. Because .22s are everywhere in Texas, cheap, common in millions of households. Proximity alone doesn't turn a person with a pistol into a killer.
But come on, the yogurt shop's just 2 miles down Anderson Lane. That's not coincidence, that's connection.
Mystery man, eh? Who are these kids we're even talking about? What would make them do something this horrible? What kind of monsters do you have to be?
This is my home, my second home. I'm always here.
Laura Kincaid has been skating here for over 10 years. She's just one of an estimated 250 ice skaters here every day.
They were called the Mall Kids. teenagers who didn't go home after school, who drifted instead to the long, half-empty halls of North Cross Mall.
The parking lots have fewer cars, and the shoppers have dwindled down to mostly couples enjoying their power walk.
The mall kids weren't masterminds. They were just aimless teens looking for trouble, hanging out, smoking, skipping school. But weren't we all at that age?
But step back. This was America in the early 90s. Divorce rates were sky high, families breaking apart, and the tech boom was leaving people behind.
And most of these kids weren't from wealth. They were working class, often poor.
In the early 1990s, many kids were growing up without fathers or structure, often left alone while parents worked long hours.
For them, there were no internships, no computer labs, just empty hours after school and a dying mall where no one asked questions.
Maurice was just 16, living with his mama in North Austin after the divorce, with his daddy long gone.
Isn't that where television stepped in as the babysitter, while children drifted without the guidance they really needed?
Robert Springsteen's family had split too, leaving him restless and moving between relatives. Michael Scott came from the same world. No steady income at home, no clear path to college.
Weeks after, cops went to that mall and picked up that boy, but no evidence tied him or that yogurt shop, not a thing.
But why? Why would 4 teenagers do something like that?
They were poor, they were close by, they confessed under pressure.
That's just lazy police work, I say. They should have kept looking. They screwed up, god damn it.
You want the truth, and you know what the truth is. You know, having trouble with the memories or flashbacks, you know what happened. You're scared to tell us. I don't blame you. Take a horrible thing what you saw in there. But can I tell you what I keep seeing in my head? Tell us what you see in your head. I keep seeing these girls get shot. What?
None of the confessions ever lined up. They contradicted each other on the details from start to finish. And no car, no gasoline, no hard evidence was ever found to back the story.
Fires don't just start on their own. Investigators said accelerant was poured inside that shop. But if that's true, where did they even get the gas to burn down a restaurant?
The real test came later with DNA, evidence that doesn't bend under pressure, and that profile belonged to an unknown male. So the convictions collapsed, the charges were dropped, and the mall kids walked free, released by new DNA that proved they weren't the killers.
Detectives and a sergeant continued to follow leads to identify that unknown DNA, which they call the needle in the haystack.
For Barbara Ayers, that meant living with a silence no parent should ever face. She had raised her youngest daughter, Amy, in a modest home just outside Austin. Amy's father was distant, often absent, leaving Barbara to carry most of the burden of raising her children.
She was an animal lover. She really loved cats, and horses were probably her favorite of the animals. We've got stuffed animals of all kinds to go with that. She spent a lot of time in here just by herself, played her stereo with all of her country western music. She's always liked country western. Has never been a rock and roll fan.
Amy grew up close to her mother, helping around the house and spending her free time with animals. She was gentle, shy, and dreamed of one day becoming a veterinarian.
She loved animals and wanted to be a veterinarian one day. Think about that, a kid with dreams bigger than herself, gone in a night.
They just hit it off from the first time they met, and then once that happened, you didn't see one without the other at the livestock show. You didn't have to worry about those two when they were together. You knew that they were going to have a good time, but you didn't have to worry about what they were going to get into. They were going to be safe in what they did. They had a ball together, laughed and giggled, and really a good time.
That was until the night of December 6th, when Amy and her 3 best friends were killed by people who have still not been caught.
That's why she was at the yogurt shop that night, excited to be included, stepping a little further into teenage life. Her mother later spoke of the regret and the love, remembering Amy as the child who still had so much ahead of her. In the decades since, Barbara has been a voice of resilience, keeping Amy's memory alive in a case where justice never came.
The state allowed the two to go free because newly obtained DNA evidence not only did not put Springsteen and Scott at the crime scene, it actually pointed to somebody else. So now the search continues for the killers.
It hasn't been solved because cops blew it from the start, chasing confessions instead of evidence. The fire wiped out the scene, and what was left never tied to anyone.
Some say it wasn't just robbery, it was sexual. The girls were tied up, humiliated. That points to rage or desire, not just money.
There are people out there who know, everyone that was involved, who know exactly what happened. After 20 years, it's time to come forward and tell us.
People still bring up Kenneth McDuff, the serial killer. He was killing again across the state. Police even chased a lead on 2 men from Mexico. They ran their DNA, no match, but it fueled the highway theory, strangers passing through and gone before dawn.
All we've got is DNA from an unknown guy. Until he shows up in a database, this case won't be solved.
That DNA belonged to an unknown man, someone who has never been identified. The FBI and police have tested it against databases, but no match has ever been found. For Austin, it's still an open wound. For the families, it's a weight they carry every single day. The yogurt shop murders remain unsolved, and the hardest truth is this: more than 30 years later, the real killer is still out there. On a December night in 1991, 4 young girls were tied, shot, and left in flames.
It teaches us justice can bend and even break.
A crime so brutal, it stopped a city in its tracks.
First day back to school for their classmates wasn't easy.
For more than 3 decades, the case has remained unsolved.
It teaches us how fragile truth really is. You can have a crime this brutal, decades of work, and still no clear answers.
Confessions crumbled, trials collapsed, and new DNA revealed a mystery man still unaccounted for.
It teaches us small towns carry wounds just as long as families do. Austin grew, but the scar stayed.
Even with the FBI science, the truth has never been found. The mothers of those girls carried their daughters from the first day of school to the last day they saw them alive.
It teaches us to keep saying their names, because remembering them is the closest thing to justice the city has left.
In an effort to find the murders of the girls that were killed, and I can't believe it's yogurt.
Mom, is that fine?
That's great.
Used to kind of bother her because she was always a country girl, and I told her, I said, you can take the girl out of the country, but you can't take the country out of the girl.
Imagine being a teenager in Austin back then. One day you're hanging out at the mall, the next you're lighting candles for your classmates. That kind of fear doesn't leave you, it follows you into adulthood.
It shoots you and all your friends. It just doesn't happen in a yogurt place.
The first day back to school for their classmates wasn't easy.
Feel that I'm actually a part of it to help to capture this person, because I want to see these people put behind bars.
Amy, Jennifer, Sarah, and Eliza are remembered not only for how their lives ended, but for who they were.
She always put her hair way up, and then she'd have clips and then wash her face real good at night. And I can just still see her doing it. And then they had this ritual of taking pictures of each other. They put their arms around each other and then hold the camera. One would hold the camera and click, and then the next one would do it.